Emily Sanders stared at the bruise on her daughter's arm like it was a crime scene photo. It hadn't been there this morning. She was sure of it. The small purple bloom wrapped around Lily's upper arm like fingerprints pressed too hard, too intentionally to be dismissed as a playground tumble. She gently touched it again. "Does it hurt, baby?" she whispered. Lily, barely 2, nodded without a word. Her bottom lip trembled, but she didn't cry. That was the part that broke Emily the most. 3 hours earlier, the day had started like any other. The sun streamed through the kitchen window, warming the white cabinets as Emily poured cereal into Lily's favorite pink bowl. Her daughter sat in the high chair, giggling at the cartoon ducks dancing across the screen. Michael had already left for work, or so Emily thought. He'd been working late for months now, some merger at the investment firm where he was gunning for a promotion. A VP seat was open, and Michael claimed it was down to him and one other guy, Liam something. "It's brutal," he had said, "the kind of competition that turns friends into roadkill." Emily had nodded then, supported him, trusted him. Now, staring at her daughter's arm, all of that loyalty felt misplaced. The bruise had been a slow build. A few weeks ago, a scraped knee, then a bump on her forehead. Each injury had a story, a believable one, wrapped in Michael's confident voice. She fell near the couch. She was running too fast in the hallway. She slipped trying to reach a toy. But this time, she had been home. She had placed Lily behind the baby gate in the play area while she showered. The stairs were locked. There was no fall. Emily heard the front door creak open. She froze. Michael's footsteps were unmistakable, slow, heavy, like someone already annoyed. He entered the kitchen, loosening his tie, then stopped when he saw her crouched beside Lily. "You're home early," she said without looking up. "So are you," he replied, voice clipped. "Meeting canceled. Figured I'd catch up on work from here." She stood, shielding Lily a little instinctively. "She has a new bruise." Michael looked at the arm. For a moment, something flickered behind his eyes, something calculating, before it vanished. "Yeah, that. She almost fell down the stairs earlier. I grabbed her just in time, probably held too tight." "That's odd," Emily said carefully. "Because she was with me all morning." He didn't miss a beat. "I mean, after you went to shower, she made a break for the stairs. I put the baby gate up. Maybe she figured out how to open it." His tone turned defensive. "She's getting smarter." Emily felt like she was walking through a minefield. "Michael, it doesn't make sense. She was in the playpen. I double-checked the lock. She couldn't have gotten out." He slammed his palm on the counter, just loud enough to make Lily flinch. "Are you saying I hurt our daughter on purpose?" "I'm saying the story keeps changing." He looked down at Lily, who was now clutching her doll tightly, head lowered, and his jaw clenched. "Maybe you should stop looking for things that aren't there." Emily didn't respond. She sat down next to Lily and offered her a banana. Her hands were shaking. Later that night, Michael made no effort to reconnect. He sat on the couch watching CNBC, pretending the earlier conversation hadn't happened. Emily stood in the hallway, listening to her daughter's quiet breathing through the baby monitor. In his world, facts could be rewritten. But the bruise on Lily's arm was a paragraph that couldn't be edited. The next morning, Emily called her old college friend Sarah. "I think something's wrong with him," she admitted, pacing the patio. "Michael, isn't he just stressed from work?" "It's more than that. He's cold, short-tempered, controlling, and Lily, she's been getting hurt. And he always has an excuse." "You don't think—" Sarah's voice dropped. "Emily, has he ever—" "No," Emily said quickly. "Not with me. But with her, I'm starting to wonder." That afternoon, Emily overheard Michael on a phone call in his office. He didn't know she was in the hallway. "She's starting to ask too many questions," he said. "No, I didn't tell her about Jessica. Are you out of your mind?" Emily's breath caught in her throat. "Jessica?" She backed away slowly, her heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear his voice anymore. There it was. A name. A fracture. A warning. She stepped into the living room and sat beside Lily, who was stacking blocks silently. Emily stared at the bruise again. It wasn't just about her daughter anymore. Michael wasn't just hiding something. He was erasing parts of their life to write a new version, without her in it. If you've ever been overlooked after giving everything you had, type 1. The silence inside the house was wrong. Emily knew it the moment she stepped through the front door, grocery bags in hand. There should have been giggles, footsteps, cartoon music from the tablet. Instead, there was nothing, just the sound of the wind catching the screen door as it swung slightly ajar behind her. "Lily!" she called out, setting the bags down. No answer. "Michael!" She moved toward the living room and stopped cold. Her daughter lay on the carpet, curled in on herself, chest heaving rapidly like a tiny engine running out of fuel. Her lips were pale, her eyes unfocused, her small fingers clawed at the air. "Lily!" Emily screamed, rushing to scoop her up. Her skin was burning hot. From upstairs, Michael appeared, wearing sweatpants, towel over his shoulder. "What's with the yelling?" "Something's wrong. Look at her, she can't breathe." Michael glanced at their daughter, frowning. "She probably cried herself out. She fell earlier." "This is not from crying," Emily shouted, backing away from him. "She needs a doctor, now." "You're being dramatic," he snapped, waving a hand. "Kids fall all the time." Emily didn't wait. She grabbed the diaper bag and her car keys. "You can come with us or you can stay here. Either way, I'm not risking her life because you're uncomfortable." She left the door swinging behind her as she buckled Lily into the car seat and drove, hands clenched so tightly on the steering wheel that her knuckles turned white. At St. Mary's General, the ER nurse took one look at Lily and pressed the emergency button. Within minutes, Lily was surrounded by a team of pediatric specialists. Dr. Chin, calm but firm, examined her chest, checked her pupils, and ordered an immediate X-ray. Emily hovered nearby, her nerves stretched thin like fraying wires. Then a nurse entered the room. Young, blonde, gentle-eyed. Her ID tag read Jessica Miller. "I'll be assisting Dr. Chin today," she said kindly. "We'll take good care of Lily." Emily nodded numbly. Moments later, the treatment room door burst open. Michael stood in the doorway, panting. "There you are." Jessica looked up from Lily's chart and froze. The clipboard slipped from her hands, clattering to the floor. Her face drained of color. Her eyes locked on Michael like he was a ghost. "Why is he here?" she whispered. "What?" Emily turned, confused. "You know him?" Jessica stepped back, her voice shaking. "You have a child?" Michael's jaw clenched. "Jessica, not here." "You told me you were single," she murmured, loud enough for Emily to hear. The words hung in the air like a grenade waiting to go off. Emily looked between the two of them. "You've been seeing her?" Michael said nothing, just stared at Jessica, then at the floor. Jessica backed toward the door. "You lied to me. You said you were divorced, that you were living alone because your ex took the kid." Dr. Chin stepped between them. "Is there a problem here?" Jessica fled without answering. Emily stood frozen. It was all unraveling. Michael's late nights, his defensiveness, his cruelty. It wasn't just work. It wasn't just pressure. It was betrayal built on betrayal. When the X-ray results came back, Dr. Chin didn't sugarcoat the truth. "There are signs of cracked ribs," she said softly, "and slight internal bleeding in the abdomen. These injuries are not consistent with normal toddler accidents." Emily sat down hard in the nearest chair, Lily's doll still clutched in her hand. "What does that mean?" she asked, though she already knew. "It means someone applied significant external force to her body." Michael rubbed his face, pacing. "I didn't mean to. She wasn't listening. I lost control." Emily looked at him like he was a stranger. Nurse Patricia Hart, head of the pediatric unit, entered the room with a clipboard. "Mrs. Sanders, would you mind stepping into a private room with me?" Emily hesitated, but Dr. Chin nodded. "I'll stay with Lily." In a small consultation room, Patricia offered Emily a coffee. Emily's hands were trembling too hard to accept. "Jessica Miller reported a personal connection with your husband. Patricia said gently. She's deeply upset. I didn't know, Emily whispered. I didn't know any of this. There was a knock. Jessica entered, red-eyed and shaking. I'm sorry, she said to Emily. I didn't know he had a family. We've been seeing each other for 6 months. Emily blinked. That's when everything started to change. Jessica rolled up her sleeve. A bruise, small but distinct, marked her arm. He did this last week, she said. We argued. He grabbed me. Patricia took notes, her face grave. Jessica, this needs to be reported. I know. Jessica turned to Emily. If he hurt your child, I need to help. Before Emily could respond, the door slammed open. Michael. His eyes were wild. What are you telling them? He roared. Patricia stood. Mr. Sanders, I need you to leave. This is my family. Emily stood too, her voice low but shaking. Not anymore. Michael stepped forward, his fists clenched. You don't get to decide that. Patricia hit the emergency button. Within seconds, security guards flooded in. Michael fought against their hold. It's all a misunderstanding. You'll regret this. No, Emily said quietly. Only you will. If you've ever had to connect the dots no one else could see, type 2. The divorce papers were still warm from the printer when Emily got the letter that nearly made her drop her coffee. It was postmarked from a private law firm in Connecticut. The return address wasn't Michael's, it was his mother's. Inside, a formal notice stating that the Sanders Family Trust was requesting shared custody of Lily, citing concerns over emotional instability in the mother, and claiming Lily should remain within the Sanders bloodline for proper legacy preservation. Emily stared at the document in stunned silence. They weren't just backing Michael, they were going after her daughter. She stood in her tiny kitchen, the morning sun warming the new apartment she'd worked so hard to build, the scent of waffles still lingering in the air. And in her hands was proof that even now, even after everything, they believed he was the one worth protecting. She picked up her phone and called her attorney. They're trying to take Lily, she said, voice steady but furious. We need to fight. 6 months earlier, Michael had been escorted out of St. Mary's Hospital in handcuffs. The charges came quickly: felony child abuse, spousal intimidation, obstruction during a medical investigation. Emily sat in a cold office under fluorescent lights, detailing every injury, every lie, every strange shift in his mood. She handed over photos, messages, even Lily's medical chart with the dates circled in red. Jessica gave her own testimony, bruises and all. She admitted Michael had isolated her from friends, discouraged her from asking questions, and grown aggressive over time, especially when she mentioned family or children. Her file became key to establishing his pattern, but Michael didn't go quietly. From jail, he sent letters, first defiant, then apologetic. You ruined my life, one read. I still love you, said another. He called his co-workers, denying everything, even trying to implicate Jessica in falsifying records. At his firm, a second scandal erupted. Liam, the man Michael had competed with for the promotion, was reinstated after internal data logs revealed someone had accessed and altered his quarterly analysis files. It was Michael's login. When confronted, he claimed pressure made him do it. But the cracks had grown too wide. Michael was not only fired, he was blacklisted from every major investment firm on the East Coast. The man who once wore power like a tailored suit had become a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, Emily rebuilt. She moved into a modest 2-bedroom apartment with a secure entry, close to Carol's house. She returned to teaching, hesitant at first, but quickly remembered how it felt to be valued. Her coworkers welcomed her like an old friend, and Lily thrived in daycare, growing more expressive, more secure. Jessica, too, started over. She transferred to a hospital in Seattle and continued therapy. She sent a handwritten letter that Emily kept tucked in her drawer. It read, "Thank you for your courage. You saved more than your child that day. You saved me, too." And then came the court hearing. Michael appeared in a charcoal gray suit that no longer fit him right, his presence gaunt, deflated. He didn't speak much, letting his mother's high-priced lawyer do most of the talking. They painted Emily as emotionally reactive, controlling, and intent on removing Michael's paternal rights. Emily stood with her lawyer and said just one thing to the judge. Your Honor, I am not here to erase Lily's father. I am here to protect her from someone who hurt her and lied about it. My daughter's ribs were fractured. That is not legacy. That is danger. The judge awarded Emily full custody and granted a permanent restraining order. Now, standing in her small kitchen again, reading the Sanders' latest legal threat, Emily didn't cry. She didn't panic. She opened her laptop, drafted a calm but firm reply, and sent it directly to her attorney with the subject line, Attempted custody interference. Prepare full response. She would not let their money rewrite the truth. That evening, Emily took Lily to the park for a picnic. The little girl wore her pink shoes and carried a stuffed bunny, still giggling as she pointed out the birds overhead. No trace of the fear that once lived in her eyes. As they lay on the grass together, Emily whispered, You don't need a legacy, baby. You are my legacy. Lily smiled and leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. That night, while Lily slept, Emily stood on the balcony. A new envelope sat on the table. Another letter from Michael. She didn't open it. She lit a match and watched it burn in the ceramic dish, ash curling against the night breeze. Some doors once closed should never reopen, and if they tried to force them, she'd be ready. If you've ever had to fight for peace when others tried to rewrite your story, type 3.